Hey everyone, welcome to Break, Pass and Continue lecture. So break, pass and continue are statements used in loop control, and they also work with conditional statements. So break stops a loop at a certain point, pass ignores code from being run at all, and continue runs a loop at a certain point. Okay, so let's take a look at these two examples, the first one being just the break, pass and continue. So what I have here is a very basic for loop of range 6. I have these three print statements. So you can see the output here. And all we have is 0, and then we have the finish loop here. And what we have is a print statement of number and then the actual integer. And we have it here as well. All right, so let's start off with the easiest one to understand. That's the break. So if I do break, you can see we go all the way to 3, and then we have the finish loop because that's outside the for loop. This one here. So the break is very easy to understand, and let's say I do 5 for example, you can see now it goes to 4 here. So that stops the for loop from continuing. And let's say I do a pass, well all that's going to do is simply nothing. It does absolutely nothing in this case. It's equivalent to doing a none statement here, and you can see there's no difference. Let's try with the continue. Now the interesting thing about the continue is if I run this, it's going to actually ignore the number 5 altogether, as you can see. And I find that somewhat counterintuitive, and I would actually encourage you to avoid using the continue statement altogether, as it's not something that some programmers really agree with using. But unfortunately you have to learn about break, pass and continue because it's something that's used in many programming languages, including of course Python. Okay, so if we just do pass again, now it's difficult to appreciate pass. So if I do another conditional statement here, if I do if I is let's say greater than 3, and then I do continue, okay, so you can see here we don't go beyond 3. But if I were to do a pass, you can see that we have the normal output just like before, as though this if statement never existed. So essentially the pass is ignoring this conditional if statement altogether. Okay, so let's take a look at the second example with the while loop and the for loop. So this is where the distinction is quite important when it comes to using the break statement between these two, when it comes to the while loop and the for loop. So all I have here is x equals true. While x is true, we're going to have this while loop running. And we have here this menu. So we have these values of 5 all the way to 6 with these dishes. And I have an empty list called items. Okay, so we have here order, inputs, pick a dish. And then we have this, if the order is inside the menus, keys, then we attach, or rather append, the value. So it could be 5 or 2 or 3 or 6 to this items list. And then we also, if we don't have any of these, let's say for example I put in burger or I put in some other item and it doesn't exist as a key in this menu, then we have a print statement here of does not exist in menu, and then x is false, and that causes the while loop to stop. Alternatively, if we have extras, anything else, and I put in no or I put in n and it's set to lower just in case we have it as an uppercase, and then x is also set to false, and that stops the while loop. So alternatively, instead of using this x is equal to false, we can use a break statement. But let's just run this and see what happens. So I'm going to run this now, and I'll put in, let's say, salad, and I'll put in, it doesn't really matter here, I can put in y, I'll put in, let's say, soup, and then I'll just put in n for no. Okay, so that's stopped the while loop. Okay, and actually what I will do is a print statement as well. So print total here. And we'll do salad again, and we'll do, doesn't matter, we'll just put y here, and then soup, and then n for no. Okay, so we've got 5 there, $5. Okay, so let's say for example we want to put it in the break statement here now. So I'll put it here for both of them. Break, and I'll put in, let's say, salad, and then I'll just put in something random, doesn't matter, and then I put in something that doesn't exist, let's say burger. Okay, does not exist in menu. And that works exactly the same way with the break statement. Now, if I were to copy this code and convert this into a for loop with this example here. So to convert into a for loop, all I have to do is just get rid of that and do for I in range, let's say len menu. And I don't need the x equal to true anymore. And you can't actually really use x equal to true or false because you can't break a for loop that way. So the way to do it is just with a break statement. Okay, so let's give this a go. And let's put in, let's say, soup again. Yes, and I'll put in noodles. And I'll put in no. Okay, great. So you can see that broke the for loop. Okay, so that essentially concludes my lecture on break, pass, and continue. I hope that's been insightful, and I'll see you in the next lecture.